Hello, welcome. It's yet another A Star to Steer Her By, your favorite Star Trek watching podcast. We're doing all the Star Trek watching. This week we're watching some Voyager. The episodes this week are going to be episodes The Gift and Day of Honor on episode 268.
Ooh, I guess.
So after all of that, you know that this is Ames.
This is Caitlin.
This is... Wow, I fucked up, sorry.
Jesus Christ.
Great, Chris.
Sorry, Jake.
All right.
There, we introduced each other.
Yay! Yeah. That's very sweet of you guys. So the theme this week is so long, shuttlecrafts, because we lose a bunch of shuttlecrafts and just all over the place, because, wow, we're so bad at holding on to these things. But let's start off losing a shuttlecraft in the episode The Gift. So in The Gift, let's see what's going on. Seven's body, we met Seven the other week. She's still here, and her body is rejecting those Borg implants now that she's out of the collective, and Janeway orders the doctor to treat her, even though it's emphatically not what Seven would want, but Janeway does. Meanwhile, in the parallel plot, Kess's powers, they're accelerating rapidly, and Tuvok says, I want to do some more training with you because I really want to get my head boiled again. Jesus,
I said
Tuvok.
that too, dude. Holy shit.
Not safe around this girl at all. In the first of the parallel plots, the Doctor is succeeding in turning Seven into some kind of homunculus creature that's still somehow hot. Thank you, Jerry Ryan. And Janeway puts her to work removing all the Borg tech from the ship, but whoops! Seven is still a Scorpion after all and tries to contact the collective. Naughty, naughty Scorpion. We also get a very nice little closure scene between Kes and Neelix that we've been fucking begging for ever since they broke up. Oh, I was, because they broke up and we never realized it. I thought it was a very sweet scene. We'll talk about it later. After the whole contacting the Borg thing, we throw Seven in the brig. And Janeway has one of those simultaneously intimidating and compassionate chats with her, in which Seven throws back in her face that if she's considered an individual now, like Janeway claims, then she should have a say in what she does with her own life. Mic drop, Seven. We are Borg bitches. To complicate matters further, Kess's atoms are destabilizing all over the place. And after another heart-to-heart with the captain, who's just full of having heart-to-heart chats this week, Kes decides she's a danger to herself, others, the ship, everybody in the Delta Quadrant, and Adams too. And she should go become a traveler with Wesley or something, is the impression I got. So in her parting scene, Kes creates some kind of energy thingy that blasts the Voyager many thousands of light years away and past Borg space. Thanks, Kes! Speaking of Borg space, the Borg space we do still have gets crammed into a catsuit. The Doctor whipped up because he's a perv. And then we get a final moment of Seven showing a glimmer of maybe being a person, kind of maybe. Bye, Jennifer Lean. We'll miss you, the end.
Garak would have made a much better outfit for her.
Yes. I like that we can blame the EMH on the costume.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing it was lacking was actual underboob. Which,
yeah, they needed a cutout right down there.
Yeah, which if this were Quark's establishment, there definitely would be.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if it was like, that's what little girls are made of, they could have used half the fabric.
Hey! That jumpsuit, I think, covered more than this thing does.
I'm sure Berman tried to get them to do it.
No, she's completely covered.
Yeah.
It's just that you can see all the way up her ass crack and her lady parts and, everything else.
Yeah, it's upsetting.
It looks uncomfortable.
Deeply.
Apparently it was. It was
Not
very
a surprise.
uncomfortable. I think I
you
mentioned
can see,
before.
There's corsetry in there that you can see.
Yeah.
I think that's just part of it. I think they couldn't hide it, so they just said, well, it's just part of it now.
What's really gross about it is it looks disturbingly like you can just see her entire ribs.
Right.
I know that it's corsetry, but it just looks yucky.
It looks like it's meant to be like coolant rods or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure there's an in-world explanation for these things that's just deplorable.
For those who can't see at home, I am doing a huge jerk off.
That is a huge jerk off, Chris.
Yeah.
Well, just so the camera will pick it up.
Sperm whale, man.
No, that would be like.
Yeah, that's when I jerk off the world's biggest dick, and it looks like I'm trying to hug a redwood.
Yeah, say what you will about Picard, but her costume in that is definitely better.
Oh yeah, I'd wear that. Normal women could wear that.
Yeah.
Just any lady on the street. Hey, do you want to wear this sick leather jacket? Yes.
Although,
hey, do you want to not be sewn into your clothes every day and not be able to breathe most of the time? Yes.
And it does, in a way, it kind of undermines, I think, some of what they're trying to do with the character to just, to dress her up in this ridiculous costume.
Yeah.
And she's had a lot of these bad costumes. Like, they don't get much better.
No.
They do get better. Like, I think the corset goes away at some point, but it's never. Yeah, never a great look.
Yeah, when they replace the silver like lycra or whatever with the blue kind of like patterned one, it's still far too clingy, but it somehow looks a little less terrible. It's still just childish. Like, just
this
put the
one's
poor
like
woman in a uniform.
trash bag.
Yeah.
We learn a little bit more about.
My boner is satisfied, and that's all that matters.
We learn a little bit more about who she was prior to assimilation. It turns out her parents were like Federation fucking off-grid prepper types or something, and
I feel like
took a ship into the Delta Quadrant for reasons.
I feel like they kind of retcon this later.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah,
later this season, in fact.
Oh,
in a few episodes.
That they are like, they didn't agree with Federation ideals, so they got a ship and headed off on their own without filing a flight plan, and that went well.
It's again, the weird sort of like, I know it was mostly Deep Space Nine's job to kind of poke and go like, is the Federation really all it's cracked up to be? But like, even with this, whether they meant to or not, it's just kind of like, man, they just got files on literally everybody and seemed upset these folks just kind of wanted to do their own thing.
Yeah, like, why do you have to file a flight plan if you're just doing your own thing?
Well, I think you file a flight, same reason you file a flight plan when you're flying an airplane on Earth today. So
yeah, but
when you inevitably disappear, somebody can go and look for you and try to rescue you potentially.
Yeah, but I don't think airplanes over Earth today is the equivalent of ships in space. I think ships in space are more like you're just taking a car out. You don't have to, every time you go to the grocery store, have to say, here's the plan I intend to take to the grocery store.
Yeah, but I think it's sort of like, if you're going on a long hike, you let people know where you're going to be so that when you disappear, they can send the rescue chopper to the right location.
Yeah,
well, there's a lot of certainty in the disappearing. Ames, are you in danger? Is Jake gonna disappear you on a hike?
He's been planning to. I actually know of a boy who disappeared on a hike. It was very sad.
That's awful.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you file a flight plan so that when you get abducted by Borgs.
Jeez. Just kidding.
I don't know. These people, these Hanson people, they sound really irresponsible.
Well, see, I would think of it less like going on a hike or a plane or anything like that. I think of it more as like taking a boat out back during like the age of exploration or whatever you want to call it, where like there weren't all these treaties and not everything was claimed by someone. Like let's be honest, if they had filed a flight plan, they're like, they kind of disappeared beyond Federation space. Guarantee you Starfleet would have gone, not our problem.
Accurate.
Do not give a fuck.
Yeah, it doesn't change the fact that it's pretty irresponsible to do what they did.
Yeah, but again, like...
And like, you're talking about the age of exploration, like when people would go out on expeditions, it would be like, a giant galleon with, a crew of hundreds versus...
Or like the Scottish expedition, which was 5 guys.
Oh,
yeah,
God,
but sponsored by a fucking government at least.
That's true.
And a bean company, I think.
And
right?
a bean, they had
and like
somebody
bean sponsorship, which is
boy, and plenty of dogs, which they should have eaten.
Should have.
Didn't because of honor and shit. But yeah, no, I mean in this case it's just a young couple and their child, and that's the part that like is fucking stupid. Is going out with your young child for some reason. And then, we've been captured or killed, and our child is now a fucking monster forever. Good going, Hansons.
Speaking,
You really
though,
stuck it to the man there.
Speaking, though, of retconning, this has at least retconned humanity's first known encounter with the Borg.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, does it count as a retcon if it's just this was a previously unknown Borg encounter?
Like,
It wasn't like, you know, the Federation didn't know that there was an encounter. Nobody else knew. Only the Hansons presumably would have known.
And they're Borgs now.
For the brief seconds that they had independent thought.
Yeah, it's true. I guess Q didn't specifically say humanity hadn't met these guys before, did he?
I mean, for all we know, the Hansons being captured are what tipped the Borgs off to the existence of the Federation. And we're like,
probably.
ooh.
Oh, before the neutral zone.
Yeah, before. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because
I'm thinking you're talking Q who.
We're saying the Hansons had to have been abducted before
the neutral zone. Yeah.
Because she was clearly like no older than 10, and she's clearly, you know, late 20s or 30s at this point. So
yeah, well, yeah, and she said it was 20 years ago. She was assimilated.
20 years. So there you go. So yeah, so presumably the Hansons got captured. The Borgs were like, these humans are tasty. Let's go get some more of them.
The Alpha Quadrant sounds nice.
Let's check it out. Maybe they got some cool tech. Maybe some Iconian gateways we can get in on.
I know you love that one, Jake.
Nice Alpha Quadrant you got. Shame if something happened to it.
Shame if it got
Thanks
assimilated.
again, Hansons, for sicking the Borgs on us.
Fucking ugh.
Yeah, I know we're going to get a deep dive into their story later, so I'm not gonna spoil anything on that ground.
Yeah, but first, like, is there anything that the Hansons have done that is in any way positive? First, they gave us Umbop.
God damn it! I was gonna make an Umbop joke, you
Dude,
motherfucker.
Umbop was amazing. So
That's true.
Shush your mouth.
That's true. I guess that is the one good thing that the Hansons did.
What are they up to these days? We'll
Still
look it up
making
later.
music and touring.
Are they? Sweet.
I know there was
like
actually
right-wingers or something.
Actually, I mean, it's been years, so they could be by now. But there was actually a period where they were opening for the Grateful Dead.
That's a combination.
Is there any overlap between the Grateful Dead and that's very strange.
I might be wrong, but they were definitely opening for someone where I was like, really? Okay. It also could have been a complete lie. I'll admit I never fact checked it.
Why would anyone lie about what the Hansons are doing?
So I was going to ask you guys where you fall on the debate between Janeway saying we should give this woman her humanity back and Seven saying, no, it's my right and I choose no. Because I think they did a good job kind of presenting both arguments equally.
Yeah, I know we got into it a little bit last week, but, like, it's hard because, you know, I think I presented previously, like, you know, in a sense, this is like rescuing someone from a cult. But then the counterpoint that I think you, Ames, brought up, maybe it was Jake, it was last week, was like, you know, is there a difference between sort of like she was raised by the Borg versus that Cardassian that was raised by
the
Bajorans or what's his name?
Jonah.
Yeah. That was raised by, you know, and it's like...
Oh god, the Keening Whaling Child?
Yeah. That, like, you know, we let the Keening Whaling Child stay with his foster family, for lack of a better term. The Cardassian, I believe, was returned to his Cardassian family.
Correct, yeah.
So they kind of each took a different tack. But is it different in a case like this where they, like, could literally reprogram her thoughts? Like, not even, like, brainwashing or just cultural assimilation, but, like...
The Borg or the Federation?
The Borg, in this case.
Yeah,
like,
I think the difference here... Yeah. Go ahead,
that kind of complicates it, because there is actually a technological component.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, you know, in the case of the Borgs are not people, right? They're not a society. They're not a civilization. They are
a virus.
They are a virus. Yeah, I don't think that there's any way that you could, like, if you could exterminate all of the Borgs, I still stand by that would be the right decision.
Damn it, Picard.
Because, like, honestly, every Borg that exists is a potential risk to everything else. You know, they do not respect anybody else's sentience. They do not respect anybody else's existence that's not their own. So, like, I don't know. I don't think it's like I choose to follow this culture and I should have the autonomy to do that. This is, well, I would prefer to be part of a genocidal race of maniacs, right?
Yeah.
And that's a choice that, yeah, no, you can't do that. We're not going to let you, like your autonomy and your ability to choose your own destiny ends when your choice is, I choose to go join the fucking genocidal race of maniacs. And that's where we can draw the line, I think.
It's kind of like the paradox of intolerance, or whatever the hell it's called there.
What's the paradox?
I forget the exact wording, but like, the only way a tolerance can survive is if you don't tolerate intolerant views.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, like, in this case, it's like, yes, we're saying you're autonomous, but we're not going to let you choose to throw away that autonomy, basically.
Yeah, because the second we let you join the collective again, we're just going to kill you, because you can't. Like, everybody is better off. You like, those are your choices.
Yeah.
Either you leave the collective and become a person, and if you want to go do some crazy shit, that's fine. You still have your own autonomy, but if your choice is, I'm going to go choose to join the fucking Borgs, we're just going to space you instead, because...
But they survive in space sometimes.
No, her lungs are coming. Her lungs are coming back, so...
Gasp.
If only Neelix could get in on that.
No, I'm glad you... Go. Do it.
I was just going to say, like, well, I agree that those are really the only two choices. I also feel like instead, like, Janeway is electing herself to be the expert on when Seven is ready to make a decision about whether or not she wants to keep her autonomy. Like, Janeway is making herself, like, her power of attorney or whatever, her medical proxy to decide, like, how she's supposed to live. And she's deciding that she's going to be the one who says when she is, like, a full human or whatever. But at the same time, she's not taking into account, like, how traumatic taking someone out of, like, the only life they've really ever lived. Like, yeah, she was a kid, so she had some life. She doesn't remember it. And as much as being a Borg obviously equates her to whatever Nazis times infinity cubed is...
Borg cubed.
There you go. Nailed it. Thank you, Ames. It's still, like, all she knows, and the pain of trying to get back, like, a life from, when she has no basis for life amongst humans. Like, I don't know, I just don't think they're not really considering her best interests at all, in my opinion.
I mean, I think really what it comes down to is Janeway's tough love, dropping you in the deep end approach ain't it.
Right.
But this is an hour-long, generally non-serialized TV show, so they had to have it done within an episode.
Yeah, and that I think that's kind of a shame. It's the same problem with Locutus and Picard. Is that, like, realistically, it should have taken more than an episode for Picard to recover. And,
oh no,
like,
come on, we see him have, like, one other time where it comes back to get him a season and a half later or whatever.
And, like, they kind of revisit it more in the movies and in the Picard show. It's alluded to more. But basically you have family, right? Like, that's the one episode where it's dealt with.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like this, right? Or it's like, this should actually be a much longer road for Seven to go from...
there to
getting from there to here, damn it.
No.
But it should be. And honestly, Janeway is not the person that should be her guide on this.
Who is?
I know we don't have
really
we don't have a
ship's counselor.
Yeah,
Neelix is kinda.
No.
I'd give it to Neelix.
Neelix is
he's
even
got no
fucking
training.
less.
He'd just
the right
feed her
person.
some shitty food.
How's your morale? And then she'd strangle him to death.
Yeah,
Actually, I like
you
that
would
plan.
think that,
Get
like,
rid of
the
Neelix.
doctor would be programmed with this type of stuff.
Yeah, you'd think.
But I guess they began and ended with, like, medical, like, physical medicine, and didn't bother not with
That's all right. He can access Dr. McCoy's psychological works and just offer him, no, actually, go back even further to Pike's original doctor and be like, here, do you want a drink?
Oh, Dr. Bartender.
This will help get rid of your problems.
I say we do what Bashir did. No, not even Bashir. Bashir was actually trying to help feral Molly that time. And O'Brien and Keiko decided to just leave her on a rock.
Which is exactly what Seven wants.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that brings back to a point I wanted to make. That was, I'm glad Chris brought up the whole that this feels like they're deprogramming a cult member, because that was one of the elements that the writers were trying to like view her in. It's between that, the idea of her being kind of almost like a recovering drug addict, but the allegory that they tried to plant in their brains when trying to figure out how exactly to frame her character was to treat her kind of like a person raised by wolves. So kind of like the Molly thing, in that they don't want her to seem like a victim. They don't want her to seem more like someone regaining their humanity.
See, but I feel like it is more like her being a victim. What they should really be thinking about is those people that had, kidnapped that girl and kept her in a fucking shed for 20 years. Because that's what we're actually dealing with. She's had no socialization, no anything. Like, again, yeah, she's had some experience as a Borg, but as a human being, she's still like a 9-year-old kid.
Yeah.
In my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, that's, I feel like, where she should be mentally if she's been operating under some hive mind collection for the last however long.
We talked about that a little last week, though. It's like, even though, I mean, there has still been intellectual development.
Yeah,
so
but how much of that is really within her and not just...
Well, yeah, but what I mean, though, is like, she doesn't have to socially be like a kid. She can be socially weird and not know how to socialize.
But why would she not be socially like a kid if everything is part of the collective and she's suddenly
Because
cut
the
off
collective,
from the collective?
is her society. She's actually probably like, it's just a different type of social learning, that she's learning how to be part of a collective. She's got that level of, this is what my community is, whereas human beings, we're individuals in a community. Like, I don't know how to act around fucking people, but Seven definitely would, because she can read those people.
But I guess what I'm wondering is, how much of that would she retain since she's cut off from the collective?
Well, I mean,
All of it, I think.
They still have stuff they retain locally, as they mentioned in the next episode. There's still knowledge she has.
Yeah, I don't think they've wiped her memory of her Borg experiences.
She just isn't going to get any new stuff.
I mean, honestly, I think the best choice I know we can't really go back. We can't turn the ship around, especially back through Borg space. But the best thing would have been just to leave her with Chakotay's friends.
That's a good idea.
The other Borgs.
Yeah, because they would have known, like, they would have been Borgy and could have done some collective stuff together with her.
Yeah,
and
they
they're
also
like
could have taught her
people...
how to be a person that's not part of the larger collective.
Because as far as we know, like, they're literally the only people in the universe, maybe, who have the experience that she's going through.
Well, but
which makes them a much better starting point for an expert on the fucking situation than fucking Janeway, who has declared it so.
Well, except even those folks, a lot of them, I feel like the implication was most of them had been, like, assimilated later in life.
Yeah, and the other thing about them was that a lot of them couldn't deal with not being Borgs. To the extent that, like, they had to reestablish a sort of collective among themselves.
A farmer's market. Borg farmer's market.
Delicious.
So, yeah, the fact that she's just kind of on her own without any real mental health support other than Janeway yelling at her a lot, this is not a recipe for success. But, because we're dealing with a 40-minute time limit here, she has to get her shit together and be sexy by the fifth act.
Oh, question. Did they, when they, like, zapped her, did they cook that thing that Chakotay had gotten from our old Borg friends, or could he try to, like, brain up with her a little bit with that thing, maybe?
I don't think
they said that it killed her transceiver.
Okay, so his thing might still be out there?
His might still work, but hers...
Causing trouble?
Hers definitely won't.
Is that why they try to cook up a relationship between the two of them?
I have
He's got the technology.
Watching the show by
that doesn't
point.
come until much, much, much later. Like, that's like an episode or two in season 7 just to set up the finale.
Yeah, it's funny you would have mentioned earlier, Ames. I did also get little hints of the, like, drug addict aspect. They didn't like to lean on it too much, but there were definitely hints of it, I feel like. So that came through as well.
Yeah,
I think like the outbursts of anger
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
like are like that.
I love when Jerry Ryan is just throwing herself at the brig force field. Because I know she has basically said, like, the silliest and most uncomfortable scene to film is when you're jumping at the force field, because there's nothing there. And you feel very silly, because you're just doing a lot of acting, in scare quotes, that they're going to fix with, CGI and shit, but you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
No, I think Jerry Ryan does an awful lot with this character.
She does.
Because it is such a complicated character. Like, we can talk about theories of, like, what the fuck goes on in her brain for days. And I betcha she's got some good thoughts, too. But I don't know. We should see if there's an article or something.
No, I'm sure there's stuff out there. We would be remiss in not talking about seeing off Kess in a half-assed way.
What?
I mean, I think this is a better send-off than most characters.
I love this send-off. I think this is perfectly fitting for her character.
Oh, yeah,
What the hell is wrong with you?
No, I just mean it just happened so quickly.
It does. I do wish they'd built up, and I think some of that was because they had to scoot this episode earlier because of Jennifer Lynch's schedule. Like, this was supposed to be the 5th episode of the season, and they'd have her for the previous episodes.
Yeah, no, I should explain. Yeah, I don't dislike the idea, but again, it just feels like in Scorpion, they're kind of like, oh, her mental powers are building. And it's like, oh, right, because eventually I thought it was going to be longer. And now they're just like, never mind, she's a Jedi now, and she's the Traveler. It's like, wow,
She's a Jedi now.
that didn't, okay. That was fast.
Traveler. That's true. I do kind of wish that they teased it longer, but they never do that with episodic television shows.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Yeah, it just gets to like, it's like, why didn't you do all this really interesting stuff with her brain powers back when she was a regular, not when she's on her way out the door?
I just don't think they liked writing for the character, maybe, and just didn't bother. They had a couple of episodes with brain powers, and then just kind of forgot about it and brought it back up in Scorpion when they're like, oh yeah, remember she's like psychic. And
and Tuvok even says like, oh yeah, we stopped doing your training because it got weird when you boiled my head.
But hey, let's do the same exercise again.
Yeah. Why did he bring fire into it? Tuvok, no!
He's just a glutton for punishment.
Start with pillows. Start with destabilizing pillows.
Or like, give her a recording and then be in a completely different part of the ship.
What, so she can burn the whole ship down while he's not there?
Well, he could have put like a mannequin of himself there, and she could have melted that head.
I do have to say, maybe it's just because hasn't quite gotten her traveler powers straightened out yet, but only sending the ship 10,000 light years, the traveler was able to get the Enterprise like to a bizarre realm of thought and space and
mother's pouring you tea, and
it's a good thing she didn't, because how would they have gotten back from that?
What I'm saying is that I think the implication with the traveler is that like that just happens to be where they went, but I think that he could have just as easily just sent them and elsewhere in the galaxy.
Oh yeah, but again, like you said, I mean, Kess, she really doesn't know what she's doing yet.
She's
they're lucky she didn't like blow them into the fucking nth dimension and meet up with the devil from TAS.
No, not that
lucky
dick.
She didn't literally boil all of their fucking heads.
That's true.
She did take a shuttle with her, though, that bitch.
She also, apparently when Tuvok lent her his meditation candle, he lent her his entire table for some reason. Did you notice that?
It's a collective set. They go together.
Yeah. I guess so. You didn't have another table in storage you guys could have used? Because it's such a distinctive table, it stood out, This glass thing with a fin looks like a weird surfboard.
God.
But yeah, it's also a perfect send-off for the character because, like so many of the episodes that decide to focus on her in some capacity, you just realize, wow, you guys really didn't utilize her as well as you could have. Because when you do, it's interesting most of the time. It just, again, I feel bad for the actress, for the character, for all of it,
Yeah, it's almost like her character almost belonged in a different show. Because this show, like, this is the biggest, set of main cast, so not like, the recurring cast members that you see on other shows, but like the main cast, the everyday cast that we've got in Star Trek so far, and all of them need to be getting attention every so often.
Yeah.
And her character has the most different kind of story. that they kept forgetting because everybody else needs to also be getting attention, like a group of toddlers.
Yeah, I honestly would rather have spent time on her than, say, Paris B'Elanna.
The relationship or each character?
The relationship.
The relationship gets better.
Does it?
Yeah, I don't mind it.
I like it.
That's fair. I don't remember it well.
I would mind it less, except that it's always happening at the most inappropriate fucking moments.
That's true.
Yeah.
But that's next episode, and I'm not trying to segue yet, because we still haven't discussed her scene with Neelix that we wanted to talk about.
No, I am going to talk about it, because, it is a very sweet scene.
It was really sweet.
I liked... Like, Neelix says something that I think we've kind of noticed glimpses of before when he talks to Tuvok. When Neelix says, like, man, I'm really happy for you. I'm glad that you're doing new things and enjoying your life. I was just holding you back. And you feel for the guy, and Kes says, no, like, you were exactly what I needed at the time. You and I were very nice together, and I'm glad we're still friends, and we still have this platonic love, and it was nice. It was good closure for them. If they hadn't had that scene in this episode, I would have thrown a fit.
Yeah, it was definitely necessary.
Yeah, considering the number of times, and they cut the breakup scene.
Yeah.
What episode was it where we're like, they either cut or just never had a scene between him and her in the episode where he thought he was going to go off to die.
Mm-hmm.
But we got that awful scene with Tom instead. And it was like, really? This again, just not utilizing Kes properly. So yeah, it was nice to have something.
And it is really sweet because you can tell that, I don't know, he just really loved her. And you could tell he was kind of it feels to me like he was definitely carrying a torch. And maybe this was the official, it's time to let it go. And then she's gone, so he really has no choice at that point.
Yeah.
I guess you can't keep carrying that torch now.
Yeah, we don't really get to see his reaction to her going either, and I don't think it ever comes up again, which is, disappointing.
Yeah.
Because, they were a big part of each other's life, and now, nope, we've got a Borg lady now. We only focus on her.
Yeah, it does suck. Kes was, one of my favorite characters in this show, I feel like, honestly, so I'm sad to see her go.
Yeah, I feel like most people, and I think we mentioned last week when we were talking about how this is one of the most rewatched episodes on Netflix, because when people start watching Voyager, they start at season 4. And they miss all of Kes, except this episode in which she's leaving, and it's a nice exit for Kes. But it means people don't think of Kes as a character a lot, even though I think she had so much potential.
Yeah. That's I think we know that I think it's been reevaluated a lot since its initial release, but there was a lot of people down on Voyager when it first premiered because Trekkies are the worst and hate all new shows automatically.
Every time a new show comes out, they're like, "We don't like this one."
Yeah, it's exhausting. But I think I think I remember being pleasantly surprised by season 1, thinking it was actually pretty solid. And then, 2 was really good. I felt a little underwhelmed by the 3rd that we just wrapped by and large, but I think with Voyager, it's not, I think, that it's bad. It's just that there is so much, and Kesk encapsulates this, there's just so often a feeling of,
what I think it is?
A little bit more.
I think, because I was thinking about this when I was thinking of our top and bottom 3 episodes last season.
Yeah.
And I think if you ask somebody, what is something you don't like about Voyager, their answer is almost certainly going to be because it's not X. Because it's not like this, because it doesn't do this, because there's a big not in your sentence because of something that the show isn't, instead of because of something that the show does.
Yeah. I think obviously one of the big issues was just that one thing way too many people, almost every series since TNG ended, there's just that loud contingent of people that just want TNG again.
Mm-hmm.
And they will not give up.
But that's basically what we got. I think that's the knot, is that Voyager is just more TNG. It is not what its premise set it up to be.
Well, yeah, they kind of tried to have it both ways, and it therefore didn't work, because, it's still not TNG, of course, because they're in the Delta Quadrant.
Right.
And yeah,
we don't see any familiar things that we can jack off to.
It's TNG with a new slate of villains.
Yeah, and whereas, I think for me what it is not is like you said, Jake, what it was set up to be. And the things what's really depressing is we know that they wanted to pursue, but the people in charge, got cold feet and were like, no, let's actually take everything that was gonna make this show truly unique, interesting, and maybe really elevate it, and just get rid of it or minimize it so much it's just not a factor.
Exactly. Look, there was a comment I recently read in one of my books in which they wanted to do more Maquis stuff in the beginning, in the first season or so, and have there actually be a little bit of tension among among crew members, which is great, which people these days would love because it's what you expect out of a show.
Yeah.
There to be tension between your characters, pushing forward development like you do, like is in fucking writing books.
Yeah.
But the executives basically said, no, we don't like that because when characters don't get along on Deep Space Nine, people don't like it. So make sure they get along right away. And that's why they dropped all the Maquis stuff.
Because that worked so well in the first couple seasons of TNG when Gene was still alive. Oh, wait. Those seasons are borderline unwatchable.
Still spilling tea on TNG.
Just the Gene Roddenberry seasons. They were so bad. With a couple of individual episode exceptions. They are... Like, people tell you those seasons aren't very good. They do not tell you how bad they are. Like,
that's
Voyager's...
because most of them have a nostalgia for them that we didn't have.
Like, Voyager Season 1? Way better than Season 1 of TNG.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I think some people would call that blasphemy, but those people are idiots.
I think most people kind of say Season 1 TNG you can skip.
Yeah. See, people used to just say you gotta get through it, but again, I think it's borderline unwatchable, most of it. Is Measure a Man in Season 1? Because that episode's good.
Nope, that's 2.
Okay.
I think maybe you should watch, what's the one with the Traveler in it that Jake likes? Where no one has gone before.
Yeah, where no one has gone
Is that Season 1?
That's Season 1.
Okay, yeah, that's a good... Like I said, there's
episode.
A couple of decent Season 1 episodes, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it... Ugh.
What are you talking about? Code of Honor?
Ooh.
Angel 1.
Angel 1, yeah.
Oh, God, I forgot about that. Anyway, the Voyager.
Wait,
Voyager.
what's that other one?
Voyager.
Justice? Is it called Justice, that episode?
Oh, man,
where
yeah, Justice.
Yeah,
What's
with
Sass steps on some
stepping
flower
on the
beds
grass.
and they have to kill him?
That one is at
Fucking
least, like,
stupid
kind of funny
bullshit.
bad.
Yeah, and it's got Sex Planet, so...
Yeah,
Can't
but,
hate Sex Planet.
I do like a sex planet.
But yeah, Voyager.
Yeah. Hey, I noticed Ayala got to say something this episode, which was nice. Good for him. He's been around for a while and never speaks, but he got to say a line or two, I think.
Good job, buddy.
Who's Ayala again?
He's the perennial extra that's on like I don't know if he's in every episode, but he's in most episodes. And
he's
the
like,
Leslie.
what's his name from
he's
TOS?
the Leslie.
That's it,
He's
Leslie.
the Leslie of Voyager.
Okay.
But he was the brig guard.
Oh,
in this
okay.
episode.
Oh, God, speaking of yellow shirts, though, one thing that was just so stupid in this one, when Seven punches Harry,
Oh, yeah.
and he domino
Flies
effects
30 feet.
Yes.
and hits the other guy, and apparently, like, hits him hard enough that he can't get up before Seven closes the door and erects a force field. It's like, really? How about just not have him there at all instead of this Three Stooges nonsense?
Yeah.
That was one thing. I was just like, yeah, this just happened. Wow.
That's
Aside from that-
that's how much Harry wanted to be her friend and how much she said not fucking interested, buddy.
Actually, to his credit, I feel like, when B'Elanna was like, go with him, he definitely made a face of like, you're gonna send me,
Oh.
the guy with the worst luck in this series, with the crazy great. Fucking great. Thanks, B'Elanna.
Speaking
Finally
of
got over
B'Elanna,
my last concussion. What the fuck?
let's talk more about B'Elanna in the next episode.
Oh, no.
Because I actually I've started really liking B'Elanna. I forgot how interesting her character can be when she's like fighting with herself. That's a good time. And we're going to see a lot of that in Day of Honor. So here it is. It's the Day of Honor. Said the title. Good job. It's this Klingon holiday in which people count all the honorable things they did this year.
Like Klingon Yom Kippur.
We said
what
the
we
same
said.
thing.
Except that when she gets into the holodeck, they do some kind of weird Klingon Eucharist, which really fucking confuses
that's
everything.
True. Yeah.
Yes,
Anyway, sorry, go on.
eat this heart of Targ, have an entire blood pie. That was a lot of pie, B'Elanna. Man.
Bro, it looked like it was made of like actually like sweet potatoes or
I
squash.
said rice. I thought it was like rice.
Oh, I thought it looked like it was a squishy, gourdy, yammy
That makes more
situation.
sense. Yeah, so she's doing Klingon stuff, even though she's never been a fan of doing Klingon stuff because she's got mom issues. Go fig. So she's having none of this, and because Janeway wants her and Seven to rig up the transwarp tech like the Borg do in a hope to get home, this is going to go very well. What is this? The Excelsior? A.
Ayo.
No, the Excelsior A is in Picard.
We're having a funny day. So meanwhile, this group called the Katati? I don't remember how it's said.
Neither do I.
Bitches is what they should have
Yeah, a
been
bunch
called.
of bitches. They show up with their sob story about being refugees decimated by the Borg. Boo-hoo. And could you spare, like, all of your supplies for us, please? And also, kill that Borg on your bridge, because fuck her. And Janeway says, yeah, guys, here's $5. Go see a Star War.
Anyang. Yes, I know your name is Anyang.
Yes, I love that show. So the transwarp experiment is going poorly. Who's surprised? And Torres needs to eject the warp core like a failure. Can this day get any worse? And you know
Thanks,
when
Tom.
she says that, it's like, wow, you're tempting the
Well,
writers,
the day
aren't
is
you?
about to get so much worse.
It's Tom that says it, no less.
Oh
though. Not
man,
even
Tom,
her.
bad
Tom
man.
is the one that jinxed it.
So Torres and Paris now need to go get the warp core that they ejected into space, fix it easily, ? And tow it back. But the Katati and their desperation to see another Star War, they've beaten them to it and they blow up their shuttle. Rest in peace, the Cochrane. Damn. Luckily, Paris and Torres have gotten out in EVA suits, and they're leaking all oxygen just all over the fucking place.
And they won't fucking shut up and conserve it. They insist on continuing to fucking talk.
The Katati ransom the warp core back to the Voyager, and Seven thinks outside the Borg cube to save the day.
Haha.
Bellata, who's about 10 existential crises deep at this point and about to die like woe, admits her love for Tom and unspoken hatred of Vorik, just as the Voyager rescues them. The end.
I mean, it's one warp core, Michael. How much could it cost? $10?
Can we just do the Arrested Development Star Trek spin-off?
So I've
I'd
only
be on
actually
board.
seen just enough of that show to get the references you have made. You're now going to start kind of pushing up against the limits of my Arrested Development knowledge.
Chris, don't worry. There's always money at the...
Banana stand, yes.
Yeah.
I get that one too.
Well, I was trying to think of something to say instead of banana stand, but yes.
The
Jumja stick stand.
There you go, nailed it. See? You're all set. And if you were Janeway, you would declare yourself a fucking expert on this topic, and we'd be good to go.
So, you know what the most fucked up thing about this episode is? That B'Elanna has been forced to continue to work closely with her rapist.
Vorik? Seriously.
Like,
That's
how
true.
is he still working in engineering?
Or at least on the same shift as her, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
it's like, nah, put him, like, make him, you remember the people in TNG that had to work inside the nacelle? That's where Vorik should be working.
I think we should just fucking give him the old Finny treatment.
Yes.
Yeah,
Put him in the
Finny
Finny
pod
too.
that guy.
Bye.
The fact that, like, they have to work closely together, and they seem to be working okay together, which it's just like, this psychologically can't be good.
no.
Because no one's therapizing them except maybe
God, no.
Neelix.
No,
I feel
you know
like-
what? Janeway took care of that too. Don't worry about it.
She just yelled at both of them.
Yeah.
No, you know what it is?
Oh,
I'm willing to
God.
bet if this show decided to have a ship's counselor, it would be like a fucking holodeck program of Freud.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, no.
So I feel like this episode should have focused more on B'Elanna.
I agree, because that was the plot that I followed out of, I think, 3 plots that did dovetail, but there was a lot going on.
Yeah, based on the title, you would think it's mostly about her and her crisis, but really it feels very unfocused. It all sort of comes together at the end, but it's like, this was supposed to be about B'Elanna, and it only sort of is.
Yeah, because it's based off of, there's a whole novel series called It's the Day of Honor miniseries, where they got this idea and basically, made some of the stuff from this novel series canon that, this is what Klingons do every year on Yom Kippur. They get the pain sticks, which are back with a vengeance. Jesus Christ, Klingons.
God, so many. Like 21,
I'm sorry,
did they say?
K-less Klingons. Yeah, like 20 pain stick jabs. Mean.
K-less Christ.
But also, I was very confused. Like, now you've described this, I don't think I'm into it. But then she apparently helped make the program. So how did she not know what was coming?
I
I'm
wonder
confused.
if it's almost like if you do like confession in church and then they say, okay, based on how many terrible things you did, this many Hail Marys and this many Our Fathers, and go do a nice thing for an old lady, maybe help her with her groceries. Jesus, kid, be nice. Maybe that's where this is how many pain stick jabs you get came from.
Maybe.
Ugh. Yeah, no one told B'Elanna life was going to be that way. Her job's a joke. Her sonic shower broke. Her love life's DOA. Like you're always stuck in warp 2.
Okay, I know I should
That's
be
pretty
getting
good,
this.
Jake. That's
but
good.
What is that?
It's the Friends theme.
It's the Friends.
Thank
Friends
you.
song. I
was like,
was trying to think of more Star Trek-y things, but I couldn't.
So it's Arrested Development and Friends. What other shows can we jam in here? Where's Seinfeld when you need him?
Wait, shit. Anson Williams directed one of these again, so Happy Days.
Oh, there you go.
Was it this one or the previous one? I don't remember, but it was one of them.
I thought it was the first one.
Yeah, this one was directed by somebody I didn't recognize the name.
Oh, I would like to call out Tuvok for being a fucking idiot in this episode.
Tell me more.
Pray tell.
What species is she? Oh, well, guy who was traumatized by the Borg, she's an ex-Borg. You didn't have to say that, Tuvok.
Yeah, you could have been like, she's a bionically enhanced human.
That's
Could've
true.
said
That's
she was a
exactly what she
human.
is. Yeah,
Could've
or
just
you
said
wouldn't
she
be
was a
lying.
human.
It's like, why, Tuvok? What the fuck?
Well, to move along the plot, clearly.
I know, but like, Jesus, of all the characters to give the idiot ball to, like, fucking find an excuse for Neelix to be the one to say it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it feels
Yeah,
more
Neelix
like,
would be like, oh, so I hear your species was wiped out by the Borg. Well, we happen to have a Borg right here. You guys should catch up.
well, you could even frame it as him trying and kind of fucking up.
Well,
just being like,
Seven here's a Borg, and she's all right, right, Seven?
yeah,
Yeah,
like
there
something
it
like
is,
that
yeah.
even. But just Tuvok would not just do that, because he's not usually a fucking idiot.
I don't know. Vulcans are weird.
That's true.
It is logical to
Mm.
tell people when they ask questions what the answer is. Tuvok, what are you doing?
Tuvok, you know how it is. Vulcans that can't lie.
Oh god, and B'Elanna being shitty at her. Like, she didn't personally assimilate all those races, and also kind of really didn't have a choice. You get how that works? You understand the Borg?
B'Elanna is a blunt tool.
I know. And she's in a mood today, apparently.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of liked what Roxanne with Dawson was giving us this episode, because she had a lot of layers of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like peeling an onion.
Delicious.
Or whatever the doctor said. And
Yeah. Again, they should have just focused on her more, and also maybe given her more, like, because that was another thing, was like when Tom comes in, it's like, you've been all like a cobra all day, and it's like, I have definitely seen episodes where she's in a worse mood. Like,
yeah, but maybe she's not always in a worse mood directly at him.
yeah, maybe.
Paris is very self-concerned.
True. That is true. I will
Yeah,
give you that.
unlike Robbie Duncan McNeil, who apparently is just a fucking sweetheart, because, and I didn't realize that this happened this early, so Roxanne is pregnant during the time of filming this episode.
Oh, we're gonna see the silly coat soon.
Yeah, so right now she's pretty early, and most people didn't know yet, but Robbie knew, as her scene partner, he knew. And, the whole time she's having, like, her character's supposed to be having a really rough day. She's also having a really rough day because she's preggers. And Robbie basically, like, took it upon himself to, like, make sure that they took a lot of breaks, like, way more breaks than they've ever taken, to the fact that other people in the crew were like, why are we taking so many breaks? Robbie says, we're taking a break right now!
They're like, what, is Robbie fucking pregnant? What are you on, your fucking period?
And I mean, the regular costumes are probably hot enough, and then they had to be in those fucking fish bowls for God knows how much filming.
Oh, a ton. I'm sure it was an absolute lot.
Probably
They
still
were-
smelled like Patrick Stewart in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
were those
yeah.
the leftover costumes from First Contact?
They were indeed from First Contact. And they put them on this sort of little seesaw so that when they filmed them against the backdrop, or the green screen, they would look like they were weightless.
Mm.
I think those are my favorite scenes. I think the scenes in the EVA suits really sold this episode for me, and why I kind of like this episode, just because watching them slowly depriving themselves of oxygen and having this very sweet heart-to-heart,
And not shutting up when they should be trying to conserve oxygen.
What else are they gonna do? And B'Elanna basically saying, like, I'm having the most honorless fucking day. And you'd think I wouldn't care about that because I don't understand my role as a Klingon. Yeah. But I kind of wanted some honor. And it's very good. It's great work by Dawson, and I applaud her for it.
It's funny, I had horribly misremembered this, which, not a surprise, I haven't seen most of it in however long. And I definitely remembered that as being like a whole episode, basically.
I think I did too. That they'd be in space the whole time.
Yeah, like they would spend most of the episode just floating in space, kind of having a gravity together or whatever.
Having a gravity together.
Is there an Enterprise when they're in EVA suits in space for an extended period? I might be mistaking it for something there.
Maybe?
Shrug. I don't know, just the visual of the space snuggling, of just looking so fucking helpless.
Yeah.
Like, you're light years away from anything, and the only person you have is right here, so tug on your little tube to get closer and hug. Mm. They're cute. I liked it.
Tug on your little tube. Ames. I think I will like them together. I just think that this was a little silly. But
like, this mostly worked out, but I think, like you said, a lot of the relationship building in previous episodes was always just like, you doing this now?
Yeah.
So it's like here it kind of makes sense. You think,
well, if you thought you were gonna die, yeah.
Yeah, like here it's like, yeah, we think we might die. Let's just cards on the table.
Might die. I mean, they were
on their last breaths.
Yeah,
they literally had 10 seconds before death.
That's true.
Like they barely made it. They probably felt with some certainty that they were gonna die.
They don't know they have plot immunity.
Phew.
But yeah, overall the stuff they did with her was good. Again, I just kind of wish there'd been more of it.
I agree. I could always do more of it, because we've seen a lot of good Torres stuff in the past. I keep forgetting, like, oh yeah, I like Torres, because you don't see a ton of her do stuff, but when you do, it's good. It's like Kes.
Yeah. It's just like, this one just kind of, it felt like it sort of lacked focus. They wanted to do we're still introducing the new character stuff, but we also want to develop this stuff, and it's like, maybe these should have been 2 different episodes instead of the same episode, or something.
They didn't do a ton of 7 of 9 stuff.
No, but between that and the, like, dinosaur people thing and all that, it just sort of, it felt like it was, maybe all of that, those 2 plots should have been condensed more, since they were the most closely related until the very end, when it all sort of came together. But, like, just a little more focus on her stuff, since, again, that felt like that was kind of supposed to be the main thrust, and it wasn't quite. Oh, the scene,
tiny tube.
The scene with Neelix was good.
Oh yeah, I like that too.
Although it was funny, because when he was like, let me be a steam valve, not steam valve, what did he say? A release valve.
A release valve.
And I paused it and said, yeah, just insult me and maybe step on me and spit on me a little. And then I hit play and he goes, insult me. And I was like, uh-oh, where's this going? But, that was, it was a very Neelix sort of thing to offer, though. And I like her reaction to it, just being like, not being like, that's kind of weird. And just be like, thank you, that was nice. I will try your pie that looks like a big bowl of God knows what with clamshells sticking out.
Weird.
Because, of course, the Klingons had to make a pie pointy.
And after she eats that whole pie, she goes into the holodeck and they give her a tar card. She's like, I'm full from pie! I've eaten so much pie! I should have shared! Why didn't I share?
A Klingon does not share. Sharing is without honor. My best Michael Dorn impression.
No, it was without honor, was having dessert before she had her targ and blood drink.
No, I think Klingons know that life is short and they could die in honor at any minute. Eating dessert first is honorable.
There it is.
Yeah, that makes a weird sort of sense.
So just what kidding. Exactly...
Fucking Klingons don't eat dessert. They don't have nice things.
Well, the Klingon version of dessert.
Jizz pie, also made from blood. Ugh. What's wrong with you people?
So what exactly is this episode saying about refugees?
Right? That made me uncomfortable.
Strange.
Yeah. I kept kind of expecting it to be revealed that they were charlatans.
Yeah.
Like the Pac-Leds?
Yeah, that they were like it was just like a sob story and they just liked going around the galaxy ripping people off.
But instead, they're just jerks.
Yeah, they're just refugees. So in a sense, you can't really blame them for acting. The way they have.
Everything they do is literally out of desperation. But it's such a tough thing to portray in this episode when you're also saying, no, you can't have any more. Please leave now.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like you're coming to us hat in hand, and the problem is we're sort of similarly without anything. And that's why, again, maybe that whole plot would have benefited from being its own episode. You could have given it the more nuance and the better treatment it needed. Whereas instead it just sort of became this weird, it made it just feel sort of anti-refugee, which I don't think technically was its intent, but that's because you turned them sort of into the antagonist. So,
exactly, yeah.
It lacked the subtlety. Again, it lacked the time it needed to breathe.
When did this happen? What year did this episode come out?
97.
Late 90s.
Okay, so we're pre 9/11 by a
bit.
I was gonna say, because if this was post 9/11, I would say that its message is you can't trust refugees; they're just gonna come over here and steal all your shit, and that would have definitely been the patriotic take they were trying to make on it, But that's definitely how it felt. But I'm sure it isn't what they were going for.
Right? Yeah.
Hope not.
It just I think it was not well thought through. Because, I definitely was like, ooh, wow, this took a turn that is making me kind of go, ugh.
Yep, we've stolen your warp core, we've blown up your ship, we didn't know you were going to escape, we assumed we killed some of you. Katati, stop it!
Yeah.
It's always nice and surprising when the warp core ejection system actually works.
Was this the first we've seen the warp core eject?
Well,
it looked cool.
So we've seen, it was ejected in cathexis, but that was not during an emergency. That was
just for fun.
That was because B'Elanna had a alien influencing her.
Oh, okay.
Or was that an alien or was it Chakotay?
Might have been Chakotay.
Oh, that's right. It was. Yeah, it was. It was
Chakotay
as the. Yes, you're right. Not the alien.
Now Torres must have the eject code because she couldn't do it on her own before.
Yeah. Well, I guess, if it's an emergency, maybe the security... if the warp core is about to breach, maybe the security for the ejection system gets relaxed.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And the E, they ejected the E. Warp core in Insurrection. But...
yeah, they did.
But...
That might not have happened yet, though.
No, I don't think so. I think this, chronologically... I think this is chronologically the first time there was an emergency and we ejected the warp core to avert disaster and it worked. Because usually the ejection system is offline.
Or it's turned off at the absolute last second because, oh wait, everything's fine now.
We did the Geordi roll that made it okay.
Yep.
Yeah, no Geordi roll though here.
No, they just hid on the other side of a wall.
Yeah, let's go out this door.
I don't think they even closed the door.
It's more advanced systems on this ship, so don't have to. I got
Maybe.
nothing.
The warp core is behind a force field. The whole thing's sealed off when it goes outside.
Clearly, the problem with this transwarp experiment was that nobody had a fancy baton.
Yeah. That's the only thing that keeps the tachyon stable.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys think of the kind of, I don't want to say confrontation, but it wasn't really confrontational. It was more like getting information between Janeway and Seven about, okay, we're gathering information about why the warp core did that. What do you know, Seven? She's like, you think I did this, don't you? Janeway says, you're not wrong, but I trust you within an arm's length, so please tell me. It wasn't me. Okay.
It's like the what's his name? Eddington
Vorik.
Problem. It's you've already sabotaged us several times. So yeah, I am gonna look at you a little bit closer as we and of course, once it became out that it was actually just a freak accident. Okay.
I still blame Vorik, that dick.
Yeah, it was clearly Vorik's fault.
There was still an appreciable tone shift in that scene, though, after Seven was like, I don't really know how to lie. And
yeah, they'd be able to read my mind and know I was lying, so why lie?
Yeah.
I'm better at not lying than Vulcans.
Yeah, because she even said in the previous episode, it's like, I didn't lie to you. I was gonna help, and then I saw a chance and took it.
Scorpion.
But also, she was still kind of, I think, half Borgy at the time, whereas now she is less Borgy. And even if she's not super sure about where she is, she's maybe already like, yeah, maybe I don't want to go back right now, kind of thing.
These humans keep promising me blood pie.
Yes.
But B'Elanna ate it all, so what do I do now?
I have been introduced by the humans to something called chocolate.
Oh,
She becomes the new Counselor Troy.
thank God that didn't happen.
Yet.
Yeah.
No, she still gets all of her nutrients from her Borg recharge station.
Yeah.
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 She's like an electric vehicle.
Which probably means that she hasn't pooped yet. Which, like,
That's going to be a tough day.
The first time that happens, she's going to be very upset. Yeah, she's going to want to rejoin the collective.
And plus, the worst part is she doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
That's right. Yeah, there you go.
Speaking of electric vehicles, this was our 6th shuttlecraft lost now.
Yeah,
and I love it because some of the writers, they all have different stories. One of them says like, oh yeah, we've been they've been replicating new shuttlecrafts. That's why there's lots more. Yep, that's totally why. Oh, we have all the different Maquis members. They're down there building more whenever we lose one. It all works out. Wink.
I mean, that's believable. I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you have the ability to replicate new ships?
That's true. I mean, whenever they're on replicator rations, you think they wouldn't, but
Yeah.
that changes week by week.
Yeah.
But yeah, having a little shuttlecraft factory seems like a good idea. And also a torpedo factory.
Yeah.
Well,
I know
these are consumables.
I don't
Candy
know
factory.
if it's ever said in the show, but at least some of the conceit too is that the Aero shuttle was gutted for parts at some point.
The which?
So if you look at the underside of the saucer,
Oh yeah,
There's
I
that
have seen this thing.
very distinct sort of shape, and that was supposed to be something called the Aero shuttle, which was kind of like the captain's yacht from the Enterprise D that we never saw and eventually see in Insurrection. But yeah, it was like this little independent ship, probably a little bigger and more dynamic than a regular shuttle, but it never got used in the show. And again, the sort of the explanation was like, yeah, no, they gutted it for parts at some point.
Yeah.
Speaking of gutting ships for parts, I'm going to start moving us on to our blogtivity for the week. I'm going to emphatically end up regretting this because this is going to be a couple of tough weeks of blogtivity because we're talking ships now.
Talking mad ship.
Go ship yourself.
Do it. So I'm going to go in order of when they appear first in the shows. I know I just got a whole bunch of the Star Trek Shipyards books, and they try to go in chronological order in World, which gets very confusing.
I do not doubt it.
And there's a ton of ships, so we're only going to try to focus on the ones that we actually see a lot of, instead of looking at every piece of wreckage in the fucking universe.
So all the Wolf 359 ships pretty much
No.
not there.
No more of those. We never saw them. I think Eaglemoss just needed toys to sell, so they built more.
Pretty much.
So I've got a little Enterprise here to play with. I'm going to share screen and you guys can watch the slideshow, but I'm going to play with a toy.
Fun.
So here's the slideshow. We're going to start where one would expect to start, which is the USS Enterprise. No A, B, or bloody other fucking letters. Just normal Constitution class that you see in the original series. Could someone, because I know the toughest thing about doing a discussion of ships is going to be that y'all are listening to this as a podcast, and all the pictures are up on our Tumblr. So you can either look at the pictures on the Tumblr, or one of us can be very kind and give you a very, very quick rundown on what the ship looks like.
What you think about when you think about a Star Trek, the Enterprise? It's a saucer, 2 nacelles, and the saucer and the nacelles connect to sort of like a cylinder beneath them.
And this one has the spinny bits.
I do like the
Bussard
spinny
collectors.
bits. I think that's my favorite element of the old Constitution class, is the kind of little kaleidoscopy things inside the Bussard collectors, because I think they're really cool.
Yeah, no, it's a fun effect.
The Pike one doesn't have it. The Pike one looks just like red with some glowy shit.
No, it's not the spinny bits. It's spinny bits.
Does it have spinny bits?
Yeah.
I thought it did, but the thing is, they're doing it with CG now.
Oh.
And,
Yeah.
I may have brought this up once before, but when they were remaking the model for the Smithsonian, they realized the best way to get the effect is to just actually have a physical thing in there spinning.
I mean, that's how the That's how it always was, right? Like it was.
Yeah, in the 60s, yeah. But when they were restoring the model, they were going to try to do like a different, like sort of a digital effect. And they played with it a bit, and they were just like, no, it's got to be a motorized what's-it.
Yeah, one of the things I like about this this ship too is it's very utilitarian, and like there's certainly aspects of it which I think are silly, like the neck, like just having a very thin neck.
Yeah.
Just seems like a liability.
Yeah, I think the little, because the little perpendicular bits that connect to the nacelles, they look like they're just going to snap if you look at them funny.
Yeah.
But
you don't put them at 90 degrees, guys. Don't do that.
And, you know, because I've built models or a model of this ship before. And,
oh, yeah, you made a nice one.
And, you know, one of the things that was fun about it is, like, it's got some wear and tear. Like, you can kind of see it in the photographs that we're looking at, but on the top of the saucer section, there's like a ring of rust around, you know, that's just like, yeah, it's been in space. It's got some abuse. So yeah, there's some patina.
Yeah.
So they were really, you know, I like that when they built this ship
On rock and roll,
you know, they included it. They included some of that to make it look. I mean, of course, it didn't show up well in the 60s on TV. Like, I'm sure no one watching TV was like, hey, there's a little bit of dirt there. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's, you know, Star Trek ships sort of, well, these Federation ones end up with this reputation of just looking very clean.
Right. No, this was a working ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also credit, because I know, like, they went through so many different prototype, like, sketches and stuff of, you want this thing to be iconic looking, but you also want it to be easy for, a toddler who likes the show to draw it. And circle with a couple little cigars, fucking done. You can do it, and you'll know exactly what ship it is, because nothing else looks like it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't draw this.
You can do it, Caitlin.
Or as an adult.
I trust you.
I think we should have a challenge at the end of our ship. Like, we'll have a special episode or something where we all have to try to draw the myriad ships.
Oh,
we only have
gosh.
like a minute to do it, so it has to be as
Can we use the slides, or is this from memory?
I don't know yet. I have literally just conceived of this idea, so I don't know yet.
Cool. Well, this one's very classic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and aside from like the 90-degree struts, I think it's a nice ship.
Yep.
We're gonna move it forward though, because we've been talking for a while. We've got a bunch of ships I want to talk to today. Let's move over to the refit, just so I can see them back to back pretty easily, so you can see what's different in the refit. Someone give us a quick rundown of what is different between the Constitution class and the Constitution class refit.
The deflector is blue instead of red.
Well, it's also, it's like a panel instead of a satellite
Spinny
dish.
bitch.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that.
It's also got the swooped back nacelles.
Yep.
Yeah, those
They're
are so pretty.
And
thicker.
the nacelles themselves are like big fucking Cadillac tail lights. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah. I miss the spinny, but these do look real pretty.
they do. And they've got the chunky, like, neck piece that has the torpedo launcher in it now.
Oh, yeah. Is that what this little black area here is?
Mhm.
Yeah, you can kind of see
Right
it
above
there.
the dish?
I was never able to confirm, but I remember seeing concept art for the motion picture where it looked like the idea maybe was that when the ship went to warp, there was actually going to be like visible energy of some kind that went between the nacelles in that like sort of weird vent looking area.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's exactly what it was, but that's certainly what the drawing made it look like, but it didn't go into more detail, and I've never been able to find out exactly what it was. But that might have been part of the reason for the redesign there, with the sort of, like you said, Jake, the like tail light kind of look.
Mm. Yeah, and like the thing about this, like this is my favorite of the Enterprise designs.
Is it?
Yeah.
I like that it's no longer 90 degrees little connecty bits.
Yeah.
They actually look like you're in a position where you could move the ship without it falling the fuck apart.
It
I
looks
do
sturdier.
Yeah, and I don't know. I've always liked this ship. It's always my favorite. I always thought it was kind of strange, though, that, you know, it's a refit, you know, that they just, you know, the implication is that they just, you know, spruced up the original ship.
Instead of replacing literally every single part.
I mean, but that's basically what this is, too, because if you look at like a size comparison, this is a larger ship as well.
Not
Like
by much.
Yeah, but it is larger. The saucer is larger.
The saucer is larger, that's true.
You know, they could have just said, yeah, no, this is a new ship. This is the new Enterprise.
But then nerds would wonder where the old one went.
They say it was retired after.
It's a museum now.
You know,
like
after,
Battlestar Galactica.
After the 5-year mission, it was decommissioned, and they gave us a new one.
Yeah, well, they even, in the motion picture, like, Kirk even gets lost in it. They've changed it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it basically is a new ship. It's that fucking Ship of Theseus nonsense all over again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The nacelles look like vapes now.
Like what?
Like vapes. They look like a jewel vape or something.
I suppose so.
But, yeah,
And
I like this ship.
the smoke or whatever that they make, they don't. I've never seen it make smoke. But let's say that they did. It smells like watermelon.
That's right.
Yum.
New for summer.
So this is Jake's favorite.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about some other ships. I have another one from TOS, because TOS, you actually don't see a lot of ships.
No,
but let's talk at least about Botany Bay, because it is a ship that we see that came from Earth.
It looks like a Dilophosaurus.
It does.
It's got the frill. It's going to spit.
It looks like a submarine.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
It looks like a submarine dressed as a Dilophosaurus.
Yes.
I like that they kind of made it look like this is the technology that would have been so much earlier because it's only meant to be practical.
And it looks kind of like a piece of junk because it's centuries old.
Yeah, it doesn't look like shit. It's a rusted out motherfucker.
But yeah, it
must have been made by Mitsubishi.
But yeah, it has, like, at its core is very much a rocket ship, which, it feels older and earlier, so, that's pretty good. And yeah, there's definitely some submarine elements.
Yeah, it has one function to go in space. It doesn't even have to go anywhere in particular. It doesn't even have to dock with anything. It just has to go away. And that's all we care about. So as long as it's got, like, one little rocket and a place to put all the pods, it's all we need out of this ship.
Yep.
Also, your life support is failing. Whoops, sorry, guys.
Womp womp.
I mean, it lasted a few hundred years, so...
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely...
And only 3/4 of Khan's people died.
Yeah, well, the important one survived.
Yachim.
Especially if you ask Khan.
Oh, right, Khan.
Yeah, but I like the shape of this thing. I like that they made this little kind of, like Caitlin said, like a Dilophosaurus frill.
Yeah.
Where the pods are. Like, that's cool, and it looks distinct, and it looks kind of fun.
Yep.
I like it.
So good times. Let's move on to the other Khan-related ship, a Miranda-class ship, the Reliant. Now, we see a bunch of Miranda-class ships, so I have a bunch of different pictures online. The major difference is some of them have the roll bar on top, some of them don't have the roll bar on top.
Yep.
Well, the ones that don't have the roll bar look like they also have, like, cannons on the side.
They might be cannons, they might be sensor things.
Yeah, they're I think I've seen those listed as, like, special... Yeah, generally the Miranda class is I don't know how canonical this is considered, but it's often, like, listed as, like, a... Oh, gosh, what's the word? We can make quick and easy
ATV.
swaps of... No,
I don't know.
Yeah, it was, like, the idea behind the runabout, but they never explored it in the show either. It's the idea of, like, you can very easily swap out components for different things, but by and large, it was always sort of a science-forward vessel.
Mm-hmm. I always think because, it's got the normal circle disc, which we like.
Yep.
It's got two little legs where the cells attach to the little legs, and they look kind of like, how you can make a little origami frog, and then if you push down in the little back of the origami frog, it'll hop. It looks like that.
That's amazing. I like that. Yeah. And I'm a sucker for a no engineering section ship. Get a special fondness for those.
Yeah, it seems like you could just crank these things out.
Yeah. And of course, originally...
they're much smaller, too, than like a Constitution ship.
And of course, originally it was designed with the nacelles over the saucer. Looks much better with them underneath.
Yeah, I'm sure there's other ships that do the nacelles over when they kit bashed something for some reason.
Oh, I'm sure.
So many of them look very silly.
But yeah, it was originally designed that way, and the story, God knows if it's true or not, though, is that when Gene Roddenberry approved it, he was looking at the blueprints upside down,
That's pretty good.
And so they changed it to have it that way. Again, I don't know if that's
God.
true. That feels very much like something somebody made up. Like, that what happened was someone looked at it and said, try it underneath. And they were like, oh, that looks better. But of course, because they need money, Eaglemoss will sell you
An upside-down Miranda.
Miranda
That's
class.
No.
I'm glad for them that they have, like, Discovery and Picard now to make new models of things so they can stop pretending to make other toys.
Seriously.
Yeah, but that's Miranda class. That's Khan's ship that he can't figure out how to go in 3D space in.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a good time. Oh, you'll also notice, because, whatever of these I have up on the Tumblr, I've stolen, or not stolen, I've borrowed and am crediting very copiously, as much as I can, on the Tumblr where I found these pictures. But wherever I couldn't find a good angle of one of these ships, and I had one in timelines, I made my own.
There you go.
So this one here in front of the nebula is just my personal Reliant that I snapped in front of somebody somewhere in my timelines game.
There you go. Looks good.
Absolutely, it does, yeah.
They're a pretty good model for a browser game.
Yeah, right now I'm flying around in, is it this one? Nope, it's the next one. Right now I'm flying around in the Excelsior, but we're going to talk about the Oberth class, because Oberths are so fucking cute.
But also so fragile.
They're so little. I didn't realize, because there's comparison charts for size, like in my Shipyards books, and just all over the internet you can find these charts, but they're very little.
Yeah.
They're like the little mice of space.
Yep.
I absolutely love that they have... So imagine kind of like the general circle saucer section, like you have on every goddamn ship. But then you got your little nacelles on the side, and then underneath you just have a fucking surfboard.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that it just always looks like wherever it's going, it's surfing.
Yeah.
I think that's so cute. Yeah, no neck.
Getting to the engineering section must be a pain in the ass, because there's no way there's a turbo lift in those nacelle struts.
Yeah.
I've seen it stated that the whole engineering section is supposed to be unmanned.
Okay, interesting.
You only have to go down, you only have to, like, climb down the Jeffries tube to fix something if it goes wrong.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like a catamaran in a weird way.
Yeah. Needs a little sail.
Yeah.
It's a funny little thing.
I find them adorable. They might be my favorite so far.
Yeah, but they do, like, it does feel like every time we see one, it's getting blown up.
Yeah, the scale.
Sad face.
Because I'm looking at one of the pictures here it's up against what looks like a
I think it's a Galaxy class.
No, that's
it's like a nebula or something.
Yeah, because you can see the nacelles are tucked right underneath the saucer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's about the size of a Galaxy class saucer, and
yeah.
It looks really tiny.
It's really, really tiny.
But then some of these other photos, you can see like the size of the windows. It looks much, much larger.
Yeah.
So the scale of this ship is unknown.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait till we talk about the Kelvin ships, because who the fuck knows with those things?
That shot to the Oberth in front of the nebula or whatever, that's from the end of Generations, when they're evacuating the crew from the planet at the very end.
Okay. That's true. They did send in a whole bunch of Oberths to collect Picard's, like, crafts and shit.
Yeah.
Pictures of dead Renee.
Yeah, I imagine they just must have a ton. Like, the reason we see these get destroyed all the time is just because there's probably a ton of them in service.
Yeah.
Because they're probably pretty cheap to make.
Mm-hmm.
Don't need a big crew.
Yeah, that's why you don't have anybody in the engineering section. If something does go wrong, it's just gonna blow up. Don't worry about it.
Well, I'm betting that you can just jettison the entire engineering section in an emergency.
Oh.
Pops right off.
That'd be a good idea.
Like, and then you can just use the top part, the impulse drive or whatever.
One of the ugliest kit bashes I've ever seen is an Oberth engineering section, and I think nacelles, with an Excelsior saucer.
Oh, weird.
It's fucking awful. You can buy one, because of course. Speaking of.
I wanted to talk about the Excelsior, because the Excelsior, I think, is so pretty.
It really is.
Like, it's very pretty. I have an Excelsior here. I don't think this is the Excelsior, Jake, that I have this toy. Because
that is the Enterprise B.
Because it says Excelsior on it, though. Or did you put that on?
No, I don't know where that came from. That toy...
Because this is definitely the B.
Yeah, that toy came out around the time of Star Trek Generations. But maybe they sold 2 copies of it, one with or maybe they came with 2 sets of stickers. I don't know. But yeah, that is definitely the B.
Okay, well, we'll talk about the B in a minute. Let's talk about the Excelsior right now. The Excelsior, which just looks like a luxury cruise liner of a ship. Because it's got this big, it's just a big ship shape. But then the profile you get when you look at it from the side, it's so swoopy and sleek.
Yeah.
Like, I love the cutout of the bottom of the hull. It just makes it so long.
Ice cream scooped out the lower half of like a cruise ship.
Nom nom.
Yeah,
it
also,
it's
delicious.
Was supposed to be the test bed for what they were calling transwarp drive at that point.
Where do you think the swimming pool is?
Probably in that little piece in the back. But it looks fast, even if it isn't,
Yeah, it's very sleek looking.
But I also think that they were conscious because it is kind of supposed to be the villain of the movie, or one of the villains of the movie. And I think that they wanted to make, because I don't know, I see this, and it is objectively an attractive ship, but I see it. I have contempt for this ship.
Whoa.
Because it looks pretentious. It looks like a jerk ship.
It looks so what I'm hearing you saying is, if this is like one of those movies, like one of those skiing movies where the protagonists get in a competition for who can ski down the hill fastest.
Yeah.
And it's the pretty people who are like going to be like, if we get out the hill fastest, then we're going to claim the hill for only pretty people, versus the heroes of the movie, which is probably like Fred Savage or somebody.
Yeah, or this is the Cobra Kai to Kirk's Mr. Miyagi.
I think we think this because its first commander was Captain Fancy Baton.
Well, yes, I agree. But seriously, boat shoes. This is the boat shoe ship.
Oh, no. The return of boat shoes.
It loses some of that edge, I think, once Sulu's in charge.
Yeah, well, yeah. And the more we learn about it, and the more of these that we see...
Oh, there's so many.
It becomes a friendly ship, but I think just because my first exposure to it is Captain Fancy Baton and the fact that it's kind of portrayed as the villain in that movie. Yeah.
And it literally putters to a stop in space.
Yeah, and it's pathetic. It farts itself to death. It's just sort of a sad thing.
God, I hate when I fart myself to death.
Were you saying, Ames, like the original plan was for Kirk to take this ship over at the end of 4, but then they were like, the fans wouldn't like that, so they came up with the Enterprise A instead?
Oh, I don't remember that at all.
Okay, that's something I read. Maybe
that's
something I read.
It would make sense, but yeah, I think Kirk had to have, like, Kirk captaining anything that wasn't a Constitution would have been a problem for people.
Yeah, which is too bad because it's a fine ship.
It's a nice ship,
as we see it 1,000 times in TNG and DS9.
Yeah, here's another time we're going to see it, because we do see it as the B, but there's a significant difference, a significant plot device-driven difference between
that flare,
the normal Excelsior, and what we needed for the Enterprise B, which is this little bit in the hull section, in the engineering section, that sticks out so that Kirk can get nommed up by the Nexus.
The Enterprise B looks like it's let itself go.
It's love handles.
It's love handles, exactly what I was thinking when you said that.
It really does ruin what was like an almost perfect profile.
Yeah.
The other thing is I don't like about this ship that they did are the extra impulse engines that they added.
Yeah.
Where are those?
So you can, on the back view, you can see there's 4 impulse engines.
4 little red things?
The 4 red things. They added those, and it doesn't.
They look like blinkers and brake lights.
Yeah,
and it adds chunkiness to the saucer.
Yeah, no, it's very subtle differences, but just enough to ruin. It really shows like how little things can make big changes.
Yeah,
and I think there's a good reason you don't see this version of the Excelsior anywhere else.
Well, I think you don't see it because most of the Excelsiors that we see are in TNG.
Yeah.
And this
is after.
This was made after. And like I think, they obviously I'm assuming that they just modified the existing shooting model.
They did.
That they had.
They then actually had to unmodify it for Voyager.
Jerks.
Wow. And then they just switched everything to CG shortly thereafter.
See, I also lose my entire suspension of disbelief when they say like this tiny little sticky out bit on the front of the hull area here is what the Nexus glommed onto. And then exactly nothing else. Where you think, like, if you're taking this one tiny area, you should also be taking half the saucer with you.
Well, it's funny, too, because in early concept art that I had in a book, they just drew a normal Excelsior class.
Uh-huh.
And it just took a huge scar out of the whole side of the engineering section.
Good.
Yeah,
And a nacelle, maybe.
But then it wouldn't make sense that there was only one casualty.
Right.
I mean, there could have been more than one casualty.
Why not more casualties?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Because they wanted to make it, it's Kirk's heroic sacrifice.
And he's the only one.
I do like the aqua trim. I will say that.
That is pretty. It's a good color. I like the color on the Excelsior too, though. It's also pretty.
It's a darker blue, but it's very nice.
But we never see this color scheme other times in Star Trek. So it's like they were just doing it was like an experimental period in starship design. Let's just paint them all kinds of crazy colors.
Woo!
Fuck it.
All right, let's skip ahead. We'll talk about just stuff in TNG now, because I wanted to lump those together so you'd see them back to back.
Oh, here she is.
Let's move on to our Galaxy class. I got a little Galaxy class
ship
here with its big honking sideways egg shuttle and its oblong deflector dish.
This actually is one of the angles it kind of looks okay from.
How about any of these?
God, she's ugly.
I mean, it's a problem of proportions, I think.
Yeah.
Because if the nacelles were bigger, maybe it would work better. I don't know.
How about 4 nacelles?
No. No.
There are uglier ships in Star Trek, but she's our ugliest hero ship.
Ouch.
Yeah, I think...
Poor bitch.
Honestly, the design of the Enterprise C...
Yes.
Is so much better than this.
We'll look at her in a minute. Let's finish on the Galaxy class, because I think the profile, you know how I was saying the profile of the Excelsior is so beautiful and like has that nice little flare bit. I think the profile of a Galaxy class ship just looks like a pelican.
That's unfair to pelicans, but you're not wrong. It's just another symptom of her being designed in the 80s. Inside, outside, she is so late 80s. She's a fucking Windstar.
She's a what?
The Windstar is a 90s car.
True. A terrible minivan.
But she definitely, either the Windstar or like that mid-90s Ford Taurus that was like all globular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they decided that it had to be fucking huge, because they decided that it was going to have like a giant crew complement, and many of the crew complement was going to be people's families, which is why there's over 1,000 people on this thing.
Yep.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
So that if it blows up, you've taken out 1,000 people? That's a terrible idea. And their families.
In universe, it makes no sense. In the real world, it was, supposed to be a sign of how, the Federation now is maybe a little more like settled than it had been in TOS.
Yeah, we're in peacetime.
Yeah, so you're gonna have families on there.
Oh, that's a good point.
And as we find out in the yesterday's Enterprise, when she's retrofitted for war, her capacity is fucking crazy. Because I forget exactly how many people Tasha says are on board the Enterprise D in the war timeline, but it's an extraordinary amount of people.
Well, yeah, because you can imagine in peacetime, you have these nice, everyone's got giant quarters.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, if you just packed this thing with bunks.
Oh, yeah.
You could fit 10,000 people on this ship.
Like, if you ever needed to evacuate a significant population, just send a couple of Galaxy classes and just put bunks in the suites.
Yep, 10,000 really unhappy, uncomfortable people.
Yep.
Better than being dead, though.
Truth.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's also jump back a little bit. Before we had Galaxy class, we must have had the Stargazer, Picard's first ship.
Yeah, it looks like somebody ate two model kits of the Enterprise A and then vomited them. And this was what was left.
No, the refit Constitution and the Miranda class had a baby.
Oh, I like that.
It's wearing skis. Don't worry about it.
I don't know. I find this ship so absurd. It's like a clown show of a starship.
She has a goofy charm.
The sideways nacelles, which are clearly just Enterprise A nacelles
Oh,
on
they
their
are.
sides.
Yep.
Like it was like I feel like when they were planning, like when they were building the sets for or doing the set decorating for TNG, they're like, oh, let's put another starship model in Picard's office just to have, and this is what they came up with.
Well, no, because remember that.
Oh, that's
they
right.
swapped it in later.
They swapped it in after they introduced the idea of the Stargazer. Yeah, so I don't know why they thought this was a good-looking thing or something they should do or ever. even
Because
think
they had
about.
all the parts and just could jam them together quickly.
Yeah.
Well, and also probably because, like, there's only so many places you can go from the same old fucking thing. There's a saucer, there's some nacelles. Where can we stick them? I don't know. We haven't tried super gluing any
Okay.
right here.
We've done the top, we've done the bottom, we haven't done both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, they could have just made it so that the Stargazer was a Miranda class and that people would have been fine with it.
Well, and remember, she was
Or
originally
Soyuz.
she was originally Constitution class, but then they changed it last minute.
You're
so
right,
last
they did.
minute, you can see they overdubbed Geordi.
Yeah, I remember that.
Is that true? I missed,
Yeah,
I must
yeah.
have
If you
missed
look,
that.
he's very clearly saying Constitution.
Whoops.
What's something that sounds kind of like Constitution that we can just put over Geordi talking?
Yeah. But yeah, I have a weird soft spot for her. I own one of these. It's on my desk at work.
Yeah, I don't hate them. I think it's something that the Federation would do,
It
and I
was
also
one of-
love because I've got the shipyards books and I've been reading up. And whenever they have like ships that you don't see much of, they basically made up all kinds of great backstory on why they're like that, and it's
Perfect.
quite hilarious.
So what is the in-universe explanation for the 4 warp engines?
Oh, I don't remember, and I don't have it on the screen. Let's see. Unusually for Star Trek vessels, those of the Constellation class were equipped with 4 warp nacelles. 2 were mounted on pylon above the command saucer, and 2 hung below. I don't think I have the screen up where I can read the whole thing.
It is a well-hung ship, I'll say that.
I think I read a fan theory, which I actually quite liked, which was just that what it is you never use more than 2 at a time.
Oh, and you can save fuel that way.
Well, not even that. You can have more sustained high warp
Aha.
by just when you're trying to tax 2 of the nacelles rather than slow down, you switch to the other 2, and then you can kind of stay at high warp longer.
That's not a bad theory. That's pretty
No,
good.
I liked it. I accepted because, you know what? It makes more sense than anything else.
Mm.
Yeah, I know there's definitely one like that because there's a couple random ones that you see in the backgrounds of things that have 3 nacelles. And they say that's so that in case one of them isn't working, they still have enough nacelles to do shit.
Yeah.
Smart.
I do like that you can kind of see exactly which parts of the Constitution refit
Yeah.
models that they kit bash. like the sections like where all the nacelles meet right behind the saucer, like is clearly there's a little rotunda area on the top of the Enterprise A.
Yep.
And you can see that right there with where the impulse drives are and everything, and it's just,
She's a little rotunda, all right.
yeah. Yeah, so it is. I mean, it's not. I don't hate it either. It's just so silly looking, but it is a fun ship.
It is, as far as kit bashes go, it's better than a lot of the Wolf ones that we're not going to focus on.
Yeah, maybe I might put them in a tumbler one day just so we can see how ridiculous they are.
It's better than the Freedom class, which is literally just an Enterprise D saucer, a very long strut, and a single nacelle.
Yeah, it's the doofiest looking ship.
Sounds like a paper airplane.
There
somehow.
she is.
A not so doofy looking ship is the fucking chunk of the Enterprise C, which is Ambassador class. And it just looks like this ship has been working out, man.
This is what
Look at this fucking thing.
Enterprise D should have been.
Yeah.
Do you even lift, bro?
What's fascinating about this design is that
Oh, it has a butthole.
they had to reverse
Oh no, wait, that's its front. Never mind.
It has a front butt.
they had to reverse
Oh, no.
engineer it from the model on the conference room wall.
Oh, okay.
Because what they had done was they had designed, they're like, all right, we're on the D. We know that the original and the A were Constitution. We know the B is Excelsior. We don't know what the C is. So they made a profile that felt like a stepping stone between Excelsior and Galaxy. But again, it was just a profile, so then they had to, like, extrapolate from that and make a full ship. And you can see some of that there. It's got Excelsior Siles struts. It's kind of got some of the, like, weird ribbing on the neck.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think the the big difference we see between this ship and the Galaxy, this is a ship built for war. This is the ship that we saw in that in yesterday's Enterprise when they're fighting Romulans and or Klingons or both, or who knows what the fuck was going on.
They were going to rescue a distress call from a Klingon ship that had been attacked by Romulans.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
they ended up having to fight the Romulans themselves.
Yeah, but this is just a whole bicep of a ship that is here to punch you.
You know what it
And
is?
then when we change over to the Galaxy class in a kind of not currently at war ship, like they're like, okay, this ship can be kind of weird because we don't need to like be thinking only about fighting people.
You know what it is, Ames, is that the Ambassador class is a ship that works out honestly. The Galaxy class is a ship that works out and does roids.
Yeah, they're juicing.
You know, it's
Oh.
like it's like someone who's just muscular versus a professional bodybuilder who's all like bloated and sort of uncomfortable looking.
Sinewy and looks like he'll pop if you touch him.
Yeah.
You know what's weird though about the artwork here is that there's inconsistencies between the artwork here that's on the upper right side, the struts for the nacelles are very long.
Yeah.
If you look at the artwork down on the bottom, the actual like photograph,
Oh yeah, that
they're
is funny.
much shorter.
That's
And that
weird.
looks a lot better, I think.
That's weird because this is from the Shipyards book.
Yeah, so that's weird. So I don't know what the difference is which one is actual screen accurate, but
Don't quote me, but I think like when they reused the model later in like I think the S9 or something, they had tweaked it a bit from the one that was used in yesterday's Enterprise, which you never get a great look at in the episode, as I
But they
discovered.
did have the model of it, so they should know.
Well, yeah, but I think they like that's the thing is
They cannibalized
there's technically different screen accurate versions depending on which version you're talking about. I think.
yeah. Well, the one here on our screen in the bottom left, I think, is the one that I like the best.
Hmm.
Because it looks beefy. I like that it's got a round saucer.
It looks
Yeah.
like it actively has the meat sweats.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What else have we got? We want just a couple more, just because I want to make sure we wrap this up and turn our air conditioners back on. The Bozeman is a Soyuz class, which is very, very fucking close to Miranda class.
Yeah, it's almost not worth calling it its own class, but they did.
But I
for some
wanted
reason.
to, because I love the Bozeman.
Oh yeah, no, it's a great ship, and again, it's like you said, they do call it a different class for some
And this
reason.
one actually does look like it's got cannons
Yeah,
on the side.
It's
Those
brand
are-
new.
and on top.
It's cute.
Those
I
are
like this
scanners.
Even the big gun on top is a
Yep, those
scanner?
aren't guns. Those are for scanning because it's a surveying ship.
Yeah.
I feel like that's got to be a retcon. I'm sure when they built this thing, they knew that they were making things that looked like gun turrets. Cause
Yeah, they really
Well,
do.
We see the thing on screen for all of a quarter of a second before it
Yeah.
explodes. So
And I'm sure
they
they
made
just-
it up.
they just got a Reliant kit.
Oh yeah.
It
And,
looks like a frog.
oh, it's even got a gun on the bottom, which I never
Oh, yeah,
noticed,
yeah,
or a
dangly.
sensor on the bottom.
Yeah, it's barely different enough from a Reliant to call it its own class, but they did for some reason.
Even though there's so many variations of the
There are a lot, yeah.
Miranda.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, but I figured I'd include it because it's got
yeah, you
all
gotta-
it's got all those extra scanners. It's got no roll bar. Instead, it's got this big like honking little crow's nest full of more scanners, and then a little pendulum underneath full of scanners. And
Maybe, you know what it is? Compared to like the Enterprise D, maybe it's technically a lot bigger than the Miranda class, which is why it's its own class.
Oh, maybe.
there
yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
See,
Like
I have a
hugified
feeling
version.
it needs all these sensor pods and stuff. That's what I see. What's what the label on it says is sensor
Yeah.
pod, because Batesman had to be transmitting his radio show somehow.
Ah.
See, I was gonna say it's seeking out lettuce for the tossed salads.
Oh,
God
God.
damn it. All right, only a couple more. Let's start with Nebula class, of which there are a couple different variants depending on if you attach what I swear to God looks like if you've got like a little picnic table in front of your saucer, or if you've got a little triangle table in front of your saucer.
Yeah, it's TNG does the Reliant. I imagine, the circular one, I suppose, is kind of meant to be kind of an oblique reference to those radar
the
planes
AWACS
from the Cold War.
Yeah, the AWAC planes with the big...
Especially because the first one we see is Maxwell's, and he's kind of pulling some unsanctioned
he's
spy
trying to do
shit.
some spy shit, yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I don't mind this ship so much. I mean, it is like obviously a kit bash of the D, and that's kind of weird.
Oh, yeah, it's like they kind of folded the D in half and just like
and
pushed
then gave
together,
it
sorta.
and then gave it a picnic table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For
Which
the
I'm
families.
guessing that, like, see that when they're talking about like a sensor module, that's what I would picture.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Doesn't look at all like gun turrets.
No,
Nope.
it doesn't. It looks like some kind of thing containing equipment.
Also, from the top, the oval one kind of looks like it has a face, and it's going, oh.
Yeah, I don't know why they have two different ones. One with the kind of like little wing, and one with the circle. But
Well, the wing is probably more aerodynamic or some shit.
it's like I said, they swap out stuff as they need it. It's that same idea of that word I still can't think of, and I'm trying to find it.
It's whatever the Google Pixel is. Or how it was supposed to be. Remember in the beginning, Google was like, we're going to put all this shit that you can... Modular?
Modular, yes!
modular.
I think she's supposed to be like a modular ship like the Reliant was, where you can easily swap out its big top part depending upon what you need it to do.
Right.
Or maybe the Triangle version is an improved sensor suite.
Could be. Yeah, I find it very silly just having like, because it looks like my family had a couch where you could like pull down a tray that was embedded in the couch and have a little tray.
Oh, fun.
It looks like that.
Kinda. Yeah, again, it suffers from the weird bloat oblongness of the Galaxy class.
Yeah.
All right, last one of the day that I wanted to talk about.
Ooh.
I love Olympic class for no fucking reason other than
I think
it's
this
different.
looks so chunky and weird looking.
It looks like a big fucking Epcot center on top, like attached to the rest of a ship.
I like it.
She does look a little odd from the front or behind because of the slightly weird nacelle pylons. Like, they look so tiny compared to the sphere and all that. But it makes sense as a medical ship. Like, you feel like it's going to show up and maybe have to, like, treat a lot of people. If it's going to be beam aboard a lot of folks and this and that. Like, the size, having a sphere instead of a saucer.
I think you also want to be visually distinct so that you can cross your fingers and hope. No, don't attack us. We're a medical ship.
Yeah.
Please stop attacking. We're medical. Stop it.
Also an evolution of the Daedalus class, which has only ever, I think, been seen as models in the show. But there was a period where Starfleet was crazy about spheres instead of saucers.
Yeah, that's why I kind of wonder. Like, I know this was in a future setting, but it doesn't. It looks like it's a throwback, honestly, to like the Enterprise C era to me. Like the
Well,
nacelle,
this feels like a throwback to older ship design in general. Like, you feel like this was kind of what they were trying to avoid with the original Enterprise.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the early versions of the Enterprise that Jeffries was making kind of looked like this.
And then Gene walked in and said, no.
Flatten it.
Yeah. Like,
Although I do like that I appreciate that it looks like a boob. Keep that part.
It's interesting that it's the Olympic class, because if I recall, and I could be wrong here, and I'm sure some of our more historically minded listeners could correct me, but if I recall, the Olympic class steamships, of which there were 3, one of which being the Titanic, but the Olympic was the prototype ship and was the class name ship. And after its service on the White Star Line, it was drafted into World War I and was a hospital ship.
That sounds right.
Oh, that's cool.
So I wonder if the class here is a nod to
It could be.
the IRL Olympic class.
Oh, that is a good nod.
It would certainly make sense.
I also like that this particular vessel is called the Pasteur. That's pretty good.
Mhm.
Yep.
And Bev looks great when she's captaining it, so.
He does.
Yeah.
Nice work, Bev.
Yep. Way to have a big golf ball looking ship.
It also, I'm noticing here, it only has it doesn't have any like actual Starfleet insignia on it.
No, you're right.
Oh, interesting.
You're right. It's just
Maybe another way to help distinguish it from being a warship.
Well, I'm wondering if maybe it's like a civilian ship, like if it's not technically a Starfleet ship, if it's like a civilian crew.
Well, it has a Starfleet crew, though.
Yeah, and it's got a Starfleet registry number, so yeah, True. But I wonder if there is some distinction to it, that it's not a
Sphere and no delta. Please don't shoot us.
Yeah. And we know that the Federation is at war in this time period, so that makes sense.
All right, so that's all I wanted to cover today, because we have a lot of ships to cover, and if we did them all, we'd be here for days.
Yep.
So we're going to break here. We're going to jump into the TNG films and the rest of
Give me that film.
The DS9 Voyager era bullshit next time. So look forward to that then. As I said, you can see screen grabs and pictures and some timelines, images that I've created from my own ships. They're all going to be up on our Tumblr, sshbpodcast.com. So definitely be following there so you can see all the ships that we're talking about. I know we're skipping some of the more tangential ships, so if you miss any, give a shout out to them. We like them too, probably.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be here for a goddamn year. So let's see, what else are we doing next week? Next week we're talking more ships, like I said. We're also going to be talking more Voyager, as one does. Continuing on through season 4 with episodes Nemesis. This can't be
God
good.
damn it, Star Trek.
Why would they name a movie after this episode? Star Trek, you're at it again. So next week is Nemesis and also Revulsion over in Voyager land. So definitely be listening over to here on whatever podcast application you're using. We're on all of them. We're on SoundCloud. We're on the Apple one. We're on the Google one. We're on some other ones. You know what you're listening to right now. Just continue doing that. Yeah. Or try a new one. I really don't care. I do care if you want to follow us on the Facebook, because that will be fun, because I'll be sharing, links and stuff there. You can follow us on the Twitter as well, which we barely use. Or you can follow us on MySpace, which we really don't keep up, because why would we?
It has no functionality. It's
none.
Terrible.
Zero functionality. Much like me, Ames.
And me, Caitlin.
And me, Borg.
Well, I don't care what the rest you say. I'm fully functional. This has been Chris.
Hey.
Heyo.
We are Borg. Hello, welcome. It's yet another Star. It's too hot. It's too damn hot today to do
Keeping
the
all
intro.
that in.
I know you are.
Oh, don't keep all that in.
He usually does. It's
I'll
pretty
make it
great.
the post credits if nothing better pops up.
Fair.